Fourth and fifth graders, we are going to be going through a review for our social studies test. So we're going to get started on that, and let's take a look. So our test is on Chapter 9. We can remember the Great Lakes by the word homes, which most of you already remember. H for Huron, O for Ontario, M for Michigan, E for Erie, and S for Superior. We have our Great Lakes of the Midwest. Very important pieces of our Midwest area, and of course living in Michigan we know about those lakes a lot. So our next thing that we're going to look at are another water area, the Illinois Waterway and the Illinois River that connect two bodies of water. So those two bodies of water that are connected are Lake Michigan and the Mississippi River. If I take the Illinois River system down, I'm going to eventually get into the Mississippi River, and then what will happen is I'll end up going down into the Gulf of Mexico, which leads into the Atlantic. So the Illinois Waterway and the Illinois rivers can connect Lake Michigan up here with Mississippi River down here. Okay? All right, moving on. Steel mills were built on Lake Michigan because the coal and the iron ore were found there. Now, if you remember, steel is a combination of different things. It's not a natural resource found out there. You can't find steel. Here's an example of coal, and the bottom one example of iron ore as they've refined it and put it into a big pile at a near a quarry. And over here, these are the shores of Lake Michigan steel mills. They make the steel in these different mills over here, and that's why they were built on the shores of Lake Michigan, because that's where the natural resources were found. It wouldn't make sense to build it on the shores of Lake Michigan if there were no natural resources that they needed. Okay, so that's why they built those steel mills there. Next, we have the Mesabi Range. The Mesabi Range is near Lake Superior. Mesabi is near Lake Superior. So how can you remember that? Well, Mesabi is a really super range that's out there. Sabi has S in the middle, so Superior starts with the S. And if you look at where it's located, this is the Minnesota side of Lake Superior. You have Wisconsin down here, and of course you have Michigan over here, and then Canada right up here. But this Mesabi Range is located to the west of Lake Superior. Now, Lake Superior is next to that Mesabi Range. And that's a really interesting range of little mountains there too, or rocks that you'll see. All right, next one that we talked about was money, buildings, machines, and tools are known as capital resources. Capital resources. Capital resources are the things we need to get a business started. So if I'm going to start a business and think about the things that I need. So let's say I am going to start a business making COVID-19 masks, and I'm going to have some things to help make those. First of all, I need money to buy the things that we need, like the materials to make the masks, and we need to pay the people who are going to make them for us in our factories. So that also, we need money for that too. So money is a capital resource. Another example of capital resources are buildings, the places where we will work. So we have to find some place where we can make these masks at. So and that would of course cost money, but it's the building, it's a capital resource. It's something that I need for my business to survive. And it is considered a capital resource. I need it to get the business started. I need a place to work. Thirdly, machines. The machines that will transport or make our products, any type of machines, sewing machines, machines that check the quality of things. All of these are things that will be needed as capital resources. And then finally, tools. Not just hammers and nails. That might be important here, but also computers, internet, phones. They're all considered tools that I'll need to get my business started. All right, so those are all what we call capital resources. Later on, we'll talk about natural resources and human resources. But capital are the things that we need to get our business started. The money, the buildings, the machines, and the tools. All right, continuing on, we're looking at the auto industry, which was in Detroit. Why Detroit? Well, because the waterways made it easy to ship them. So if I'm going to ship if I'm making things like that, the masks, we'll stick with that idea, making the masks in Detroit area, well, now I can put them on a boat, I can go up the coast and go to Canada, or I could get through there for the St. Lawrence Seaway, and I can get out to the Atlantic Ocean and go to Europe. I can go south and go to other parts of the United States. With cars, they could do the same. The auto industry was there because they could ship things. If they needed things from other countries, they could be easily shipped to them. So if they needed like car parts from over in Asia, could be shipped, brought there. They need car parts from Germany, going to be shipped to Detroit very easily through the waterways. And they're heavy, so you can't really put them on a plane because you can only have so much on a plane or else it won't fly, right? So a ship makes it a little bit easier. So the auto industry was in Detroit because the waterways made it easier to ship them. All right, how did those flat boats move? Well, our flat boats, like this, how do they move down the water? Those are pretty big things. They'd put all their belongings on there that they could, and then they would go. Well, they floated downstream. They're a nice flat boat. The river had a nice current, and so they could go downstream. And the big oars were just used to guide the boat, not to row it. They're not standing up on the boat and rowing it. They're literally just using it to move it to the left or move it to the right, kind of like a rudder would be on a boat today. Okay, so we've got the flat boats floated. Nice little alliteration. Flat boats floated. So if you can remember that, that's going to help you with something on your test. Very good. All right. Now, Robert Fulton, this guy here, was known for the steam engine and for the steamboat. So the steam engine and steamboat are what he was known for. He changed transportation by making this device here, the steam engine and steamboat. Because steam is made from what? Mostly water, right? Water and so what we have is we have a boat that could run with the water. Some coal too, they could burn the coal, and you can see it kind of is pollutive, but they could make this work on steam, and that's what made a huge difference. It could go faster. There's so many changes that happened after he came up with this steam engine. All right, let's move on. So today, most of our goods are transported by barges, though. So if you see here, this is a big barge being pulled by a tugboat. Barges can hold many, many containers like this on them, and then they can just pull them down the river. This happens in all different countries still. When you look at how they do this, there can be a ton of stuff that they can take across. It can float. These are very heavy, and they can get them on a big platform and then take them across and drop them off where they need to be. So barges are what we use today, and you might have seen some barges out in the bay, or if you've gone up near Mackinac Island, you might have seen some barges too. All right, what is the longest river in the world? The longest river in the world. Winds and winds and winds. I'll give you a hint. You've heard about it in the Bible. It's the Nile River. The Nile River. The river where baby Moses was put when he was being protected. And the Nile River is 4,132 miles long. Yeah, 4,132 miles long the Nile River is. And the Mississippi is only 2,348 miles. So when you think about that, that Nile River is almost twice as long as the Mississippi River. All right, on to our next river question. Which river connects inland Europe cities to the Atlantic Ocean? Inland European cities in Europe to the Atlantic Ocean, that's the Rhine River. The Rhine River. It connects cities in Switzerland, France, Germany, and the Netherlands to the Atlantic. All right. You can see here this idea of the Rhine River flowing through. And now you have to get an idea of how big these countries are. Okay, France is about the size of Michigan, and so when you think about that in the sizing of something, they're not super huge countries comparatively to the United States. But this river is a very important source there, the Rhine River. Okay, the Rhine River connects those places like Cologne, and you can see them, Frankfurt, Moselle. This is the Moselle River that flows into the Rhine River, and it's that Rhine River system. Okay, so European cities, the Rhine River. Europe. If you think of Europe ending in E, the Rhine ends in E. That might help you too, just to connect which river connects Europe around. All right, our next one. Here are some facts about the Xinjiang River. It runs through the center of China. Here's a map that shows that. Okay, more people live near the river than in all the United States combined. So if you think about the population in the United States, that's how many people live near this river all the way through China. And rice is grown on their floodplains. So you have this floodplain area from the river, and then rice grows in that nice soggy area, and that's where that rice is growing. Big product for them. Okay, so that's just a few facts about the Xinjiang River that you're going to need to know for your test. That it runs through the center of China, that more people live near the river than in all the United States, and that rice is grown on the floodplains. All right, next, the Amazon River. The Amazon River flows through and it should kind of ring a bell with us by looking at these two pictures over here, the Amazon rainforest. And the Amazon rainforest, of course, is the world's largest tropical rainforest. So what you see over here, you see some parrots that are found in the rainforest, and I liked this illustration or this picture, this photograph over here. It gives you kind of the size and the density of the forest and how thick it is with the people riding their horses through there. All right, so another thing we need to do is we need to know how to organize data for our test. Okay, you need to know how to organize data. Well, there's a few ways we can do it. We can do it alphabetically by school. We can do it alphabetically by city, or we could do it least to greatest by students. So in Candy Cane College, in Peppermintville, we have 200,000 students. At Unicorn University in Rainbow City, we have 143,550 students. And in ABC Academy in Lettertown, we have 32,123 students. So alphabetically by school, I would say ABC Academy, then I can categorize it with Candy Cane College, and then lastly, Unicorn University, because this is A, C, and U, which is alphabetical order. Alphabetical order by city, I have a P, an R, and an L. So I would start with the L at Lettertown, and then I'd go to P for Peppermintville, and then the R for Rainbow City. And then finally, least to greatest by students. Least to greatest, so this has 2 numbers in the thousands place, these have 3 numbers in the thousands place, so this is least, so I would say 32,123 students, then 143,550 students, and then finally 200,000 students. Okay, those are the way we can do that. And then finally, let's look at this, well, not lastly, but close. Human resources and natural resources. So there's human resources, which are the people and the ideas they contribute needed for a business. The people and the ideas they contribute needed for a business. So some examples of human resources. A person who files the papers would be an example of a person in human resources. Another human resource would be a construction worker. Another human resource would be a person who runs the office. Now, all 3 of these things have one thing in common. They are human. They're human. So when you're doing your test and you're trying to decide, is that a human resource or not? Is it a person? Then it's a human resource. Okay? For natural resources, we look at items that are found in nature, God's creation. What did God create out there? Okay, so natural resources, trees, the crude oil that's found in the ground, the iron ore that we find, a river, all of that would be considered natural resources. Okay, natural resource is something that's natural out there in nature, God's creation. Human resources are the people, human. And then remember the other one? Starts with a C. What type of resource is that? That's the capital resources. Those are those things that we need to start our business. The money, the buildings, the tools, those types of things that we need to start our business. All right. Well, there are 4 types of river transportation, and I've got them with pictures here. This one here is a flatboat. The flatboat was very flat. It's the first one that came along for our transportation here. And you can see a group of people on there. The second one we have is what we call a keel boat. A keel boat changed a little bit. We see that it's more shaped like our boats today, where there's that curvature on it. It's not just totally flat. And they have a mast and sail, and then they have some little, almost looks like a covered wagon up on the top here. And that's what we call a keel boat. That was second. Third, there came the steamboats, where it was ran on steam, and a lot more people, a lot more quickness to that, helped with the transportation. And then finally, like I said, today we have the barges. And here's a barge going down with those big containers in them down the river. Okay, so 4 types of river transportation in order you need to know: flatboat, keelboat, steamboat, and barges. Okay, flatboat, keelboat, steamboat, barges. And that's the review for the test. I would encourage you to watch the video again, excuse me, and also go over the test notes that I gave you. And and get ready for that test this week. Have a good night, guys.